All right, everyone get ready because today we are going deep on Iceland. We've got all sorts of excerpts and stuff about Iceland, everything from geography to demographics, history, politics, even a bit about their culture. And what we want to do is give you a really good picture of this island nation. Like all those little details that make you think, wait, really?
Well, one of the most fascinating things about Iceland is that it's in this constant state of change. I mean, both geographically and culturally. It's a nation that's really shaped by these powerful natural forces and, of course, the resilience of its people.
Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. So we've got this excerpt here that talks about Iceland literally growing. And it's all because it's situated right on the mid-Atlantic ridge, which means it's straddling two tectonic plates, the North American and the Eurasian, and they're slowly drifting apart.
Right, and it's that 2 centimeter annual drift, combined with the volcanic activity that comes from something called the Iceland plume that keeps the island from actually splitting in two. I mean,
Right.
Think about it. There are over 30 active volcano systems constantly reshaping the landscape. It's like a living geology lesson.
Okay, so every year, Iceland gets a little bit bigger.
Right?
That's incredible. And speaking of volcanoes, remember that 2010 eruption of Eyjafjallajökull? I mean, the ash cloud shut down European air travel for days. It was a real-life reminder of how powerful these geological forces really are.
Absolutely. And all that volcanic activity creates this incredible contrast, in Iceland's landscape. You've got massive glaciers. You've got these incredibly powerful rivers and waterfalls like Dettifoss, which is Europe's most powerful waterfall. And then you have these lush coastal areas. And they all exist alongside this desolate volcanic interior.
It's kind of hard to picture, volcanoes and glaciers practically side by side. But how does that even work?
Well, the climate is just as diverse as the landscape. It's all about this interplay between the warm Irminger Current and the cold Greenland Current. The Irminger Current flows up from the south and keeps things surprisingly mild in southern Iceland. In fact, they rarely get snow.
No snow. Maybe I need to rethink my winter vacation plans.
Yeah.
But hold on, isn't Iceland also known for being pretty sparsely populated?
Yeah, that's true. Iceland has one of the lowest population densities in the world, only about 4 people per square kilometer. And over 60% of Icelanders actually live in the Reykjavik area, following this pattern of rural exodus that took place during the 20th century. But interestingly enough, some smaller communities like Ísafjörður have actually seen a little bit of a comeback in recent years.
It makes you wonder what's driving that shift. Maybe it's the pull of wide open spaces and a quieter way of life. Okay, let's talk Vikings. So Iceland has this incredible history, starting with its settlement by Viking explorers back in the 9th and 10th centuries. I bet there are some wild stories from back then.
Oh, there are. And what's even more fascinating is that archaeological evidence suggests there was settlement even earlier than that. They actually discovered a 7th century longhouse buried under lava, like a perfectly preserved snapshot of the past. And of course, we can't forget about the Althing, which is one of the world's oldest parliaments. It was established by those early settlers.
Wait, a parliament that old? Tell me more.
So the Althing was incredibly innovative for its time. Imagine this system where chieftains known as Godin acted as both lawmakers and judges. It was this blend of legislative and judicial power that is just a testament to the ingenuity of those early Icelanders.
Wow, it sounds like they were creating a functional society in a seriously challenging environment.
Yeah.
That kind of resilience and innovation, it must be woven into Iceland's DNA.
Absolutely. And that spirit continues today, even in the face of modern challenges. Take their energy policy, for example. Iceland is a leader in harnessing geothermal and hydroelectric power. They meet almost all of their energy needs with renewable sources.
Yeah, I did read that they're even aiming for a complete switch to a hydrogen-based economy in the future. That's some serious forward thinking.
It is. It shows a deep awareness of their unique resources and this real commitment to sustainable development.
Yeah.
Something that other nations could definitely learn from. But let's not forget about the richness of Icelandic culture. I mean, their literary tradition is particularly fascinating, with the Eddas and sagas holding this central place in their cultural identity.
Oh, the sagas. Those epic tales of heroes and adventures and feuds are just captivating. I love how those stories give you a glimpse into their history and values. But what about modern Icelandic authors?
Oh, their modern literary scene is thriving. With authors like Arnaldur Indridason gaining international acclaim. In fact, in 2011, Iceland was the guest of honor at the Frankfurt Book Fair. It highlighted the global reach of their literary culture.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So it's not just volcanoes and glaciers that make Iceland special. It sounds like they have this vibrant, creative energy that flows through everything they do.
Absolutely. And that creativity isn't limited to literature. Their visual arts, photography, and music scene are all equally vibrant.
Speaking of music, we can't forget about Björk. I mean, she's a global icon, and she's really put Icelandic music on the map. And I heard they have a surprisingly strong jazz scene, too. Plus, they seem to take Eurovision very seriously. It's like this creative energy infuses every aspect of their culture.
It's true. But before we dive into more about Iceland's modern cultural landscape, we should probably touch on some of the major events that shaped their 20th century.
Good point. From what I've read, World War II had a major impact on Iceland.
It did. Iceland's strategic location in the North Atlantic made it a key point of interest during the war. They were first occupied by the British and then by the Americans. And that strategic importance actually continued throughout the Cold War.
So they went from Vikings to a key player in global politics. What about that whole thing with the Keflavik Air Base closing in 2006?
That was a major turning point in Iceland's history. It marked a shift in their relationship with the U.S., and it sparked a lot of debate about their future role in international affairs. It also raised questions about their reliance on NATO and the potential for greater independence.
It's incredible how a nation that started with Viking settlers has evolved into this unique player on the global stage.
It's a testament to their adaptability and their constant negotiation between tradition and progress. But before we delve into their modern challenges and cultural scene, why don't we take a quick pause for a word from our sponsors? We'll be right back with more insights into this incredible island nation.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Iceland. It's been an incredible journey so far. We've covered so much ground, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this amazing country.
Yeah, it is a captivating place, isn't it? There's just so much to uncover, from their ancient traditions to their modern approaches to everything from energy to social welfare.
Speaking of modern approaches, I was struck by something we mentioned earlier about Iceland's population. It's kind of surprising to think that almost everyone in Iceland lives in cities. We're talking 94% urbanization. That's a stark contrast to those images we often see of vast open landscapes.
Yeah, and that urbanization is a relatively recent phenomenon. It's closely linked to the trend of rural exodus that we talked about earlier. People move towards urban centers like Reykjavik, which is the capital, in search of better opportunities.
Right, and Reykjavik is home to over a third of Iceland's population. But we also mentioned that some smaller communities like Iceland are seeing a bit of a resurgence in recent years. It seems like that pendulum might be swinging back a bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting trend. Perhaps for some people, the allure of a close-knit community and a strong connection to nature outweighs the pull of city life. It'll be fascinating to see how those demographic shifts continue to play out in the coming years.
Absolutely. It speaks to Iceland's constant state of flux, this balancing act between tradition and progress. And speaking of tradition, we have to talk more about their unique naming system. I mean, imagine living in a world where your last name is literally based on your father's first name.
Yeah. It's a system that really underscores lineage and connection to family, which is, a deeply ingrained aspect of Icelandic culture. But it can make for some pretty interesting family trees.
No kidding. Tracing your ancestry must be quite the adventure with a system like that. It's a beautiful testament to their history and an emphasis they place on family ties. So we've talked about geography, population a bit, about names and history. But what about everyday life in Iceland? Like, how do people get around? Do they have flying cars powered by volcanoes?
Well, not quite flying cars, but their transportation system is pretty impressive. Their road network, particularly the famous Ring Road, allows you to circumnavigate the entire island. And while they don't have traditional highways, they do have well-maintained multi-lane roads, especially around the capital.
The Ring Road sounds like an epic road trip waiting to happen. But what about those more remote areas, like those interior highlands with the volcanoes and glaciers?
Well, that's where things get a little bit more adventurous. Those roads are typically unpaved. And you need a sturdy vehicle, preferably with four-wheel drive. And winter driving in Iceland, well, let's just say it's not for the faint of heart.
I can only imagine trying to navigate those icy roads. Talk about an adrenaline rush. What about people who prefer a more relaxed way to travel? Do they have a good public transportation system?
They do. Reykjavik has a comprehensive bus system called Strætó, and it connects the capital with surrounding towns. They're even considering building a light rail system to improve inner-city transit.
Wow, a light rail system in Iceland. That's impressive. It sounds like they're serious about providing sustainable transportation options.
Okay.
Enough about getting around. Let's talk about staying connected. What's the tech scene like in Iceland? Do they have internet powered by geothermal energy?
Well, their internet isn't directly powered by volcanoes, but they are incredibly well connected digitally. Multiple undersea cables link them to the global internet. And access is widespread throughout the country. In fact, they have one of the highest internet penetration rates in the world.
That's amazing. It makes sense, though. When you live in a country with such breathtaking natural beauty and a vibrant cultural scene, you want to share it with the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their telecommunications infrastructure is actually quite advanced, with 2 major mobile network providers covering most of the island, even those more remote areas.
So no matter where you are in Iceland, you're just a phone call away from civilization. That's reassuring, especially if you find yourself venturing into those volcanic highlands.
It's all part of their commitment to ensuring accessibility and connectivity for their citizens, no matter where they choose to live.
What?
But speaking of accessibility, we haven't really touched on their approach to social welfare yet.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I read that Iceland has a very comprehensive system that provides for its citizens, from healthcare to pensions.
Yeah, it's a model that many other countries look to as an example when considering social safety nets. It speaks volumes about their values and their commitment to the well-being of their people.
And let's not forget their groundbreaking drug prevention program. It focuses on keeping kids engaged in positive activities like sports and arts programs after school, rather than resorting to punitive measures.
It's a very proactive approach, and it's been adopted by several other countries, highlighting Iceland's innovative thinking when it comes to social challenges.
It's so refreshing to see a country that prioritizes the well-being of its citizens in such a holistic way. But all of this, from their unique geography and history to their cultural achievements and social programs, makes me wonder what makes Iceland's economy tick. Is it all just fishing and tourism?
Well, while fishing and tourism are definitely important contributors, Iceland's economy is actually surprisingly diverse. They have a robust manufacturing sector, particularly in aluminum production, and that's powered by their abundant hydroelectric and geothermal energy resources.
Right. I remember reading about Iceland's goal of transitioning to a fully hydrogen-based economy. That's incredibly ambitious. But back to fishing for a moment. It's practically synonymous with Iceland, isn't it?
It is. Fish products make up a significant portion of their exports, and they've been pioneers in establishing fishing quotas and exclusive economic zones to protect their marine resources.
Speaking of protecting resources, didn't they have those cod wars with the UK a while back? Who knew fish could be so contentious?
Those are definitely turbulent times, but it highlights how vital fishing is to Iceland's economy and national identity. It also underscores the importance of responsible resource management, especially when it comes to something as essential as food security.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that resources, especially those tied to livelihoods and cultural heritage, are worth fighting for. But let's not forget about tourism. Iceland has become a hugely popular destination in recent years, attracting visitors from all over the world with its stunning landscapes and natural wonders.
It's true. Tourism has become a major economic driver, and they've done a remarkable job of balancing the influx of visitors with the preservation of their natural environment. It's a delicate balancing act, but they seem to be navigating it well.
Yeah, they're finding that sweet spot between economic growth and environmental sustainability, which is something a lot of countries struggle with. And speaking of sustainability, their commitment to renewable energy is truly inspiring.
Absolutely. They've set a high bar for other nations when it comes to harnessing the power of nature in a responsible and sustainable way. Their approach to energy is a model for the future, showing that economic growth and environmental stewardship can go hand in hand.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. From their economic drivers and social programs to their sustainable practices and unique approach to transportation. But what about the heart and soul of Iceland? What about their vibrant cultural scene?
Well, that's where things get truly fascinating. Icelandic culture is this rich tapestry woven from their unique history, their profound connection to nature, and their enduring spirit of innovation.
So where do we even begin? Their literature, their music, their art, it's like a cultural buffet.
Let's start with their literary heritage, which is truly exceptional. The Eddas and sagas are cornerstones of their cultural identity, offering these glimpses into their mythology, history, and values. They provide a window into the soul of a nation.
The sagas, those epic tales of heroes, Vikings, and daring adventures. Who doesn't love a good saga? And then there's their modern literary scene with authors like Arnaldur Indridason, gaining international recognition and captivating readers worldwide.
And let's not forget about their music. They have an incredibly diverse and vibrant music scene, from the ethereal sounds of Sigur Rós to the global icon that is Björk.
Björk. She's a force of nature herself. And didn't you mention they have a surprisingly strong jazz scene in Iceland, too? Plus, they take Eurovision very seriously. It seems like their musical landscape is as diverse as their natural one.
It's true. And their visual arts scene is equally vibrant, with a strong tradition of landscape photography and a growing contemporary art scene.
It's like creativity is woven into the very fabric of their society. They even have this unique tradition of outdoor thermal baths, where people gather to socialize and relax in naturally heated pools. It's like the ultimate blend of nature and culture.
Yeah, it's a tradition that speaks to their connection to the land and their appreciation for the simple pleasures in life. It's about community well-being and embracing the natural wonders that surround them.
Okay, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive. From volcanoes and glaciers to sagas and Eurovision, it's clear that Iceland is a country that defies easy categorization. It's a place of constant discovery and reinvention.
Yeah, it's a land of contrasts and contradictions, where ancient traditions meet modern sensibilities, and where the raw power of nature is met with human ingenuity. It's a place that challenges our assumptions and expands our understanding of what's possible.
It's a country that has faced its share of challenges, from economic crises to volcanic eruptions, but has always emerged stronger and more resilient.
And it's a country that continues to inspire and intrigue the world with its unique approach to sustainability, social welfare, and cultural expression.
I'm definitely feeling inspired.
Yeah.
Iceland has officially moved to the top of my travel bucket list. But before we wrap up this deep dive, let's take one last quick break for a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back with some final thoughts and reflections on this incredible island nation.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Iceland. It has been an incredible journey so far. We've covered so much ground, but I feel like we've only just begun to explore the depths of this amazing country.
There's always more to discover, isn't there? Iceland is a place that keeps revealing these new layers, the more you delve into its history and culture and its people.
Speaking of discovering new layers, I'm curious about their education system. I read somewhere that Iceland has a strong emphasis on education and that their literacy rate is among the highest in the world.
Oh, that's absolutely true. When you have a society that places such high value on storytelling and literature as Iceland does, it makes sense that they would prioritize education for all. Yeah, it makes you wonder if their love of sagas and storytelling has fostered that love of learning.
It's certainly a possibility, and their commitment to education goes beyond just, basic literacy. They have a very robust higher education system with multiple universities offering a wide range of programs.
So it's not just about reading sagas. They're also fostering critical thinking and encouraging people to pursue higher education. No wonder they're known for their innovation and creativity.
It's a testament to their belief in the power of knowledge and the importance of investing in their citizens' intellectual development. They're creating a society of lifelong learners, equipped to navigate the complexities of the modern world.
I love that idea, nation of lifelong learners. Okay, before we wrap things up, I have to ask about those quirky Icelandic traditions. We talked about the hot springs, but what about their holiday customs? I heard they have some pretty unique Christmas traditions.
Oh, they do. So instead of one Santa Claus, they have 13 Yule lads, each with their own mischievous personality. And they visit children in the 13 days leading up to Christmas, leaving gifts for the good kids and pranks for the naughty ones.
13 Santas. That's a whole Santa squad. It sounds like a festive version of those superhero team-up movies.
It definitely adds a fun and unique twist to the holiday season, and their Christmas feast is quite different from what you might be used to. They have these traditional dishes like smoked lamb, fermented shark, even sheep's head.
Sheep's head? Wow, that's definitely not your average holiday dinner.
Yeah.
But hey, when in Iceland, right? Embrace the local traditions.
Exactly. It's all part of embracing their cultural heritage and those culinary traditions that have been passed down through generations. It's about connecting with the past while also celebrating the present.
And speaking of the present, Iceland faces a unique set of challenges in the 21st century, just like every other nation.
That's true. Climate change is a pressing concern as it directly threatens their glaciers and delicate ecosystems. And their economy, while resilient, is still dealing with the after effects of the 2008 financial crisis.
It's a good reminder that even a nation as innovative and adaptable as Iceland is not immune to the global forces shaping our world.
Absolutely. But they're approaching these challenges with the same spirit of innovation and determination that has characterized their history. They're investing in renewable energy, promoting sustainable tourism, and working to diversify their economy.
It's like they're saying, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
And after this deep dive, I believe them. They've proven time and again that they're capable of overcoming obstacles and emerging stronger.
Yeah, it's their resilience, their ingenuity, and their unwavering commitment to their values that makes Iceland such a fascinating and inspiring nation. That may be a small country, but they have a big heart and a bright future.
Well said. I think we've officially reached the end of our deep dive into Iceland. It's been an incredible journey filled with stunning landscapes, fascinating history, vibrant culture, and inspiring stories of human resilience. What a place.
It's a reminder that there's always more to learn, more to explore, and more to appreciate about the world around us, and that sometimes the most surprising discoveries are found in the places we least expect.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to continue exploring Iceland on your own. Read their sagas, listen to their music, and maybe even plan a trip to experience the magic of this incredible island nation firsthand. Until next time, keep diving deep.